Hi, in this video we're going to talk about how to multiply polynomials. Before I talk about or I explain how to multiply polynomials, I would like to quickly review two things which we will be using to multiply polynomials. One of the rules is rules to add and subtract polynomials. Remember that you can only combine like terms. That's the main rule when you add or subtract polynomials. What that means is if you're adding 3 apples plus 4 apples, you can get 7 apples. It's possible to add them because they're both apples, right? Think of apples as x. So you get 3x plus 4x, you will get 7x. Now what if you were adding 3 apples plus 4 bananas? Okay, are they both the same fruit, or are they both like terms? No, they're not. So you cannot add them, so your answer here would just be 3a plus 4b because you cannot add them, you cannot combine them. Okay, so you can only combine like terms. That's the rule to add or subtract polynomials. I'm going to give you a few examples here. 6x squared plus 7x squared would be 13x squared, because this is an x square, that's also an x square. They're the same terms or like terms. Another question, what if it was 6x squared plus 7x instead of x squared? What if it was just x to the first degree? Now they're not like terms. In this case, they're not like terms, because if they have to be like terms, not only the variable but the exponent also must be the same. See, you can add a only with a. Just like that, you can add a square only with a square. The degree has to be the same. Okay, so here you cannot add them, so your answer is just 6x squared plus 7x. Another question, 5a squared plus 3b plus 2a squared. So if you look at this expression, you can see that a square, there's an a squared term here and there's an a squared term here. So you can combine these two. So 5 plus 2, you will get 7a squared, and 3b, positive 3b plus 3b is not a like term. So we're just going to leave it here as plus 3b. That will be it. Now what are the rules to multiply variables? That's the second part that I want to review before we get into multiplying polynomials. What if you have to multiply x squared times x cubed, square and cube? So what you have to do is you have to add the exponents of the same variables. So 2 plus 3, you get your answer as 5. I'm going to give you some examples. What if you have to multiply 5x squared times 3x to the 10th power? So what you have to do is, we know that 5 times 3 is 15, square and 10 plus 2, you get x 12. So you're adding the exponents and multiplying the coefficients. Okay, another example, 7x y to the 5th power times negative 3x squared y cube z. So how would you answer this? So first look at the number part. 7 times negative 3 is negative 21. 7 times negative 3. Just multiply the coefficients. Now we have an x variable in this. There's 1x here and 2x here. So 2 plus 1, we get 3x's altogether. Then we have the variable y. 5 is the exponent here and 3 is the exponent here. So 3 plus 5 you get 8. And then there's only one z, so you write z. So that would be your answer. So let's see how we can multiply polynomials now. The first case, multiply a monomial with a monomial. Monomial is a polynomial with one term. That's all it means. I'll explain what that means with an example here. All that means is you're multiplying like 2x with 5x squared, or see, this one has one term and this also has only one term. So all you have to do is multiply. 2 times 5 is 10, x and x squared is x cubed. That's all. First example. One more example. Let's say you have 7xy times 5x. So your answer would just be 7 times 5, 35. X and x, there are two x's here, so x squared, and then just a y. It's very simple. Monomial versus monomial is very simple. Another example for the second case, multiply monomial with a binomial. A binomial just means two terms. Two terms. Okay. For example, if I'm multiplying 6x with 5x minus 3, this is a question. Okay. So what you have to do here is you distribute and multiply. You're multiplying the 6x to each of the terms inside the binomial. Okay, so 6 times 5 is 30, x times x is x squared. Then 6 times negative 3 is negative 18, and then you just have one x over there. So that would be your answer. Okay. Another example would be 2m squared times 5 minus 6m. So this is a monomial and this is a binomial because there are 1, 2 terms in here. So what you do is, same rule, you distribute the term in here into here. 2 times 5 is 10, and then you have the m squared, minus 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. And there's a m2 here and a m1 here, so together you have m to the third power, or m cubed. Another example, the last type, multiplying monomial with a trinomial. Now that just means we can take a guess. If monomial is 1, binomial is 2, then tri has to be 3 terms. Okay. So example, 2x times 3x squared plus 7xy plus 8z. So this is a monomial, 2x is a monomial. You're multiplying it with a trinomial. So this polynomial has 1, 2, 3 terms. Terms are differentiated with plus or minus signs. Okay, that's how you know this is a term and that's another term. There will be a plus or minus sign between them. So the rule is to distribute. Okay, I take 2x and I distribute it to each term in here. 2 times 3 is 6. X is, the power here is 1, so 1 plus 2, I get a total of 3x. Now take that and distribute it to the second one. 2 times positive 7 is 14. x1 and x1 will become x squared, and then you have a y1, you just put the y, you don't put the 1 always. Last, you have 2x to the first power to positive 8z. So you put the plus, 2 times 8 is 16, you have x1 and 1z. So that's your answer. That's it. So all you have to do is distribute in this step. Okay, so the key word is to distribute. So the last part here is to multiply a binomial with another binomial, trinomial, or in general any polynomial. So let's do some example problems. Let's say you have to multiply 2x plus 3, this is a binomial, to another binomial 7x minus 5. There are two steps on how to multiply this. The first step is to distribute. So what we have to do is we have to take each term in the first binomial, which here it's 2x, and distribute it to each term in the second binomial. Okay, so 2 times 7 is 14, x times x, you have 2x altogether. Now you take 2x and give it to the second term in here. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10, and then you have the x, so you leave the x there. Now you take this second term in here, positive 3, and you distribute it to each term in here. 3 times 7 is 21, and then you have x. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. That's the first step, you distribute. The second one is to see if there are any like terms, and if you have any like terms, to combine them. So if you look here, you have an x squared term here. We don't have any other x squared terms. So you leave the 14x squared just like that. Then you have an x term here, x to the first degree and x to the first degree. So they're like terms. So negative 10 plus 21 is positive 11x. So you have to combine these two because they're like terms. And then you have a negative 15, and that would be your answer. 14x squared plus 11x minus 15. One last example. Here's your last example. Let's distribute. First rule is to distribute. So 5x times 6x cubed. 5 times 6 is 30. x1 and x3 is x4. 5x1 times negative 2 will be negative 5 times 2, 10, and then you have 1x. Now you distribute it to the third one. 5 times 4 is 20, and you have x1 and x1, so it'll be x squared altogether. Now after you finish distributing the first term to every term in the second polynomial, now you can distribute the second term to every term in the second polynomial. So negative 6 times 3 is 18 x cubed, negative 3 and negative 2 is positive 6, negative 3 times positive 4 is negative 4 times 3 is 12x. So once you're done distributing every term from the first polynomial into the second, you have to combine like terms. Now if you had a third term, you would just multiply that also, distribute that also into the next polynomial. Now when you write the answer here, you have to always remember to put the highest degree first. Go with x4. There are no other x4s here, so leave your answer as 30x4. That's done. The next degree is the cube, the third degree. There is no other third degree here, so just write it as negative 18x cubed. That's out of the question. Now next you have x squared term. There's no other x squared term, so that's also gone. 20x squared. And last, there's a first degree and another first degree. So negative 10 and negative 12 needs to be combined because they're like terms. So you get negative 22x, so they're both gone. And the last term would be positive 6. So when you write it in the term of increasing degree 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, you call it standard form. That's how you write your answer.